Hello everyone. Am I audible?
Hello, sir. Hi.
Hello, good evening everyone.
Sir, can you hear me? Santosh sir, Saga here.
Yes, I can hear you.
Hi.
Audible, right? I'm audible,
Yes,
right?
audible. Yeah.
Perfect.
Thank you for joining, sir.
Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, after I guess couple of months we are meeting online. After that,
Yeah. Right.
yeah. So today, just to brief you about, we are organizing this session on behalf of Minister of Education, Institute of Education, IIC team. So this is session for Innovation Council, and the students are from PGD and MBA management students are there. So basically, the students who are more interested towards entrepreneurship, and how to raise the funding, not now, but after this, some of the startups. So the audience are there. Along with me on the panel, we have Garima Sharma ma'am. She is Associate Dean for IIC, as well as Shruti Mangaonkar and Amay Vangankar. We handles the innovation and entrepreneurship cell in Wellington Institute of Management.
Wonderful.
And just to brief you, like all about IIC, that this school is one of the top institute who received 5-star by Minister of Education. So thank you for giving the sessions. I guess it's 7 to we can start the session because the students will be joining little bit, and we can just start it on time.
Sure.
Okay,
A couple of quick.
Sure, we can start.
Okay.
Without much ado, we can start.
Yeah, we can then start then.
Just
Sir, is it okay?
Yeah, I had a couple of questions quickly, just to understand the student group here. Are there any startups already in this group? Or everybody's fresher?
One of two students will be there, but let me check with the list with the students who are there. The students are there with this. They are not with the startup, but they are having a startup idea.
Okay, they are not yet
ventured
into it. Not yet ventured into it.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So I'll taper my conversation according to that.
There's one person, Vamsi Nekatti. So he's a person. He is going to start something is similar to Uber and Ola, and he just started the process. So Vamsi is there. So he just mentioned hi. So he's one, and he's very much dedicated, and he's doing well.
Wonderful.
So at least this startup to get grow in well manner.
Perfect.
Wellington till now just raised around 39 startups from 2014. Yeah, we incubated. We don't have incubation lab. We have pre-incubation, but we provide them all the services with respect to how the startup should build with the accelerator program and all. Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay.
Yes.
And is the audience able to talk to me if, when I ask questions,
yes.
or if
they can ask our questions in Q&A box, or if they can raise the hand, then we can unmute them and they can come on the panel and we have a discussion. Basically, the students will be having a chat box and the Q&A box.
Okay, sure. Because I want to keep it as interactive as possible, so that it doesn't have to be a monologue from my side. Right. Yeah. So, perfect. So shall I share my screen? Do I have access?
I will just request Shruti Mangaonkar ma'am to give the brief introduction about the session and you. So over to you, Shruti ma'am.
Yeah, sure. Can I go ahead?
Yeah, just a little louder.
Yeah, sure. Good evening, one and all. We are pleased to welcome you all for today's session on angel investment or venture capitalist funding opportunity for early stage entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs and investors face challenges in the theme market for early stage entrepreneurial finance. Improving this situation has been a priority of policymakers for at least a decade. However, the challenges in this matching process are still poorly understood. The entrepreneur has two potential sources of external financing, the venture capitalist or the angel. Today's distinguished speaker is a great entrepreneur and has immense knowledge in financial modeling. It is my great pleasure to introduce Mr. Santosh Kumar, who comes with 20 plus years varied experience in investment banking, IT global project management, retail venture, and tech startup. He has a strong background of building ventures from ground up. At present, he is the COO at GoQuest Media Ventures based in India. He was co-founder and CEO of Spotplay. He was selected to be a part of Chile delegation to start up Thailand event and mentoring by Sefcotech. He also co-founded Panache Silver, which became first silver brand to be launched on Flipkart. To add to this, he is an ardent sports person. We are so glad, sir, that you could be here to share your insights and experience with us. And before sir begins, I request you all to submit your text questions into Q&A box. I guess, sir, you would like to answer or address them at the end of the session?
I'd like to keep it as interactive as possible.
Sure.
Throughout the session, I'll be happy to take up some questions.
Sure, sure. Over to you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Shruti ma'am. I will just like to greet before the session start. Happy Guru Purnima to all, and thank you, sir, that Guru Purnima session you are giving your insights, your knowledge sessions. So thank you to everyone. Thank you, my faculty colleagues who are there, and thank you, Dean, and everyone. Over to you, sir, please.
Thank you so much for keeping me here on this session. I'm really happy to talk to the young potential entrepreneurs and job creators in the in Wellington's group. Right? I mean, it's a privilege to be here, and thank you, Ms. Shruti, for for giving that glorified intro.
Thank you so much.
So I think beyond that intro, I'm as normal person as you can see on the streets. You'll probably not even recognize if I'm parking next to you. So if I am able to do this kind of journey, I'm sure the younger generation of today can easily take up the entrepreneurial journey. Right? It's not hard. It is challenging, but it's not hard compared to what it used to be 10 or 20 years back. So firstly, I want to congratulate all of you to even look at this as an aspiration, look at this as a journey or career path that you're looking at. Today's world, there's plenty of opportunity. Now with pandemic, it has just made a lot more newness in the whole ecosystem. Things have moved. If you look at your own education, right, things have moved to online format. But look at every industry, every aspect of the industry has gone through a metamorphosis in the last year and a half. So which means that we are right now at the cusp of getting into the hockey stick curve as a whole economy, right? It's a global economy is going to be building up from here for at least the next 5 to 8 years. We'll have a big run coming up, which means that you are aptly placed to ensure that you take the advantage of that hockey stick curve, right, in the economy. So please take a cognizant of this fact and prepare yourself to jump into the entrepreneurial journey, right? So can I share my screen, sir? Am I allowed to do it? I think I have the permissions. Yes, let me start sharing my screen.
Okay, yes, sir, we can see it. You can just full screen it so that.
I'll just do that. I'll do that. 1 second. Yeah. All right. So today's topic is going to be the basics of fundraising. I'm going to start right from the foundational aspect of how, why, and when to raise funds. Right. These are some of the common questions every entrepreneur, every youngster will have today when you're looking at taking this kind of a journey. And I've been there, sort of done that for a while, and I've also invested in startups. So I've been on both sides of the table, raised money as a founder myself, and also have invested in a couple of early stage startups myself. So I've seen both sides, how things matter to each person or each entity in this ecosystem. Let's start with the basics, right? So the first question that we all have is who invests in the startups, right? Ma'am told there are two categories. We talk about angels and venture capitalists, but I want to bring to your attention, it's not just these two. There are plenty of other ecosystem players and enablers who also invest in startups. Some invest in pure cash, some invest in cash plus support, some invest in no cash but support system. But all of these ecosystem players are very, very important and play a very vital role to build the startup. All right. So if you're looking at from early stage venturing, right, all of us think the most important aspect of any startup, right? Let me ask you this question to everyone, right? What is the most important aspect of a startup? What is very important for a startup to even have a germination? What is the most important thing for a startup? Is it money? Is it idea? Is it founders? What is more important to the startups? I'd like to see some action in the chat window now. Can I have some chats from here? And there on the chat window. Okay, I see some chats, right? USP Idea, identification of the need problem, right? Idea. Any other answers? So I'm seeing USP, idea, and ideas, right? So let me tell you this, right? Idea is the least important thing for a startup. I'm going to give a pause. I want this to sink in, right? While ideas are important, but it is not the highest priority. So, not really finance and money, ma'am. No. Value proposition traction. Yeah, value proposition traction comes with the idea, right? Right? The most important thing for a startup is the founders, right? I hope I'm able to bring your attention to that. Founders are the most important aspect of any startup, right? And why do you think founders are more important, right? Why? What do founders bring to the table? Again, I'll open it to the chat. I want to see if there are any answers or any thought processes here. Why do you? Why do we say that founders are the most important aspect of any startup? What makes them more important than even money? Any answers? Any thoughts? I don't see sector knowledge, expertise. Yes and no. Sector for sector knowledge and expertise. Vision and mission they have. Right. Now you're missing the most important term there. Passion. Right. Founders bring in tremendous amount of passion. Right. More than the knowledge and expertise, it's the passion that they want to build something. It's the passion that they want to create, whether it is wealth or whether it is building a company. So this is what will keep them up and running for the founders, right? So founders are the most important foundational piece of any startup, right? Even if they don't have sectoral knowledge, it's fine. It can be acquired as long as he or she has the passion to build something, right? That passion will drive them further to acquire that knowledge, to uh, to get investors, to get other team members, right? To get also the customers, right? So my third question to you all: what is the most common activity a founder does? It's the most common activity that he has to do day in, day out. So what is the most common task or activity that a founder does? Again, I'm looking at the chat. If I have some time management, interesting, Sagarji, driving the team. Yeah. What is the single most important thing that he or she has to keep doing? There's one umbrella term. Like there's only one thing that they have to do. Pitching, no. Networking, yes. Potentially, yes. Planning, achieving, yes. They do all of these things, right? But what is the denominator for all these activities, right? Okay, let me give you that. The answer is sales, right? Founder has to do only one thing throughout his life: sell, sell, sell. Right now, who does he sell it to? Right. Firstly, he will sell it to his family. Right, the idea of startup. Next, he sells this idea to his co-founders. कि चलो ये start करते हैं. He's going to sell the product or whatever technology or whatever solution that he's building. He sells the concept and the passion that he has. He uses that to sell it to the investors to get money, right? He sells it to even the regulators. If you look at cryptocurrency founders, they are selling the concept to the regulators also, right? So every founder throughout his life, if there's only one thing that he has to do is sell, 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 right? You sell it to your family, you sell it to your founding team, you sell it to your other team members, you keep selling to the investors. What are you selling to the investors? Any thoughts on what do we sell to the investors? We don't sell equity. What do we sell to investors? Exactly. Thank you, Hiren. Right. So we typically call it as story. You are essentially selling the story to your family, your friends, your colleagues, your early stage co-founders with you as well as your team. You're just selling the story, right? Because you don't have any, when you put idea and potential growth and vision, everything, right? What is it? You're essentially selling a story, right? So you keep selling the story, right? Even to investors, you're selling a story, not in a derogatory term. I'm talking in a positive aspect of the term, that our duty as founders is to keep on selling the story. It's not a negative term, not a derogatory term. कि कहानी छोड़ रहा नहीं है. It is essentially to build a storyline, storyboard it, and sell it to everybody that we meet, right? Even if you go to networking events, what are we doing? We are essentially selling. To your partners, we are selling, right? To investors, we are selling. And to customers, we are selling a promise, right? Until the product is in their hands, right? It's not a standardized product, then we are actually selling, right? So the most important skill that a founder has to develop is sales, right? I know a lot of us do not come from that background. Even I didn't have a sales background, but it doesn't become difficult to us because we have passion, right? Now it's like if you think of it as a Russian doll, right? One on top of the other, right? So at the foundation of it is your passion, and on top of it comes in your ability to or your sales skill, right? Even if you don't have it, we need to acquire that. How do we acquire that? Trial and error, right? So the most important thing is not idea, it is the founders for any startup. And what does the founder have? Most important ingredient for the founder is passion. Remember this, and his ability or his selling skills. So if you don't have it, go out, talk to people, start selling your story, and then you'll realize that there are some changes to be made, and that's how you keep improving your storyline, right? That's where you can call it with a lot of massaging ki vision bolte, potential growth, market, all these things. These are all encompassing into one thing that is called story, right? If I'm able to have this elevator pitch, which is anywhere from 60 seconds to a 2-3 minute kind of a timeline, if I'm able to sell something, that has to have a story angle to it. How do I interest anyone without boring them with data? That's only through the storyline, right? And stories are very important to human beings because it's easy to relate to everyone, right? So whether you're talking to your investors, customers, your team members, ensure that you bring in some human touch, and that's with storytelling, right? A lot of us are not great at storytelling, but our passion will help us build that skill, and you need to do it with trial and error. Just start talking to people, right? The more you talk, you will shed that fear or anxiety. वो एक बार निकल जाएगा ना, then you are much more comfortable to tell your story, right? If somebody asks me what's my career path or what's my journey, right? I have a simple story, right? I tell that first decade of my career I spent in the corporate world. I traveled various countries: Bangalore, Mumbai, Paris, London. I worked and lived in these locations. Worked on the BFSI fintech side. Had a great learning there. The next decade of my career, I built 3 ventures. Right? I don't have to talk about my the projects that I've handled. I just have to give. If I have to just give a 60-second gist of my career of 20 years, I just have to break it down into 2 verticals: corporate, the sell, startups, the sell, right? And that's easy to sell. I don't have to tell that I have won such awards, I've raised money, right? How do I ensure that I pack in so much content within the 60 seconds? And this is what you need to do to your pitch to the investors, right? So let's look at who are our investors. Our first set of investors are going to be who? The 3 Fs. What does 3F stands for? It's there on the screen. It's friends, family, and fools, right? Friends we know, right? All our childhood friends se leke your early career friends, right? Or it could be your college friends. And they have certain confidence in you, and they won't mind investing or taking a risk on you, right? The second category is family, right? Family is obviously, like we say in India, you can choose your friends, but you can't choose people, right? If they're there, they are there. So the family will anyways take a punt, take a risk on you, right? Because we are a very close-knit social setup in India. So family plays a very important role in the early idea stage investment, right? And who are these fools? Any thoughts, any answers on this? Which is the third category of the 3F: friends, family, and fools. Who are these fools? Sorry, ma'am, I couldn't hear you. I can't hear. Would you mind typing it in the chat window? So who keeps saying your idea won't work? No, I'm talking about your supporters. Milani, I'm talking about the supporters who are going to fund you. I'm talking about investors, right? This is the first stage of investment, even before you have an idea, right? Or even at a very basic one-liner idea you have. These are the people who will support you: friends, family, and fools, right? Anyway, so yeah, exactly. Thank you, Sagar. As Guru Purnima hai, I didn't know. It's not again in a negative term. Mentors and your advisors, right? They are the they have seen a potential in you, and they want to really back you up, right? It doesn't matter how much money they put in. These 3Fs, they are the key pillars for you, from the idea to I mean, to very early stage one-liner idea to really putting in your first cycle of product, right? So typically these are the ticket sizes range anywhere from 10,000-20,000 rupees to probably a few lakhs. That's what they are ready to bet on you, right? It's essentially a betting on you, right? This is what the 3Fs will do, right? When do angels come in, right? Or when do I reach out to the angel networks? Does everyone understand what is an angel investment, or who are angels? Any thoughts on that? Who would you categorize as angels or angel investors? Yes, Hiren. Individuals, yes, but they have are they the same as who invest in the stock market? Are they retail investors in the stock market? Yeah, I'm waiting for a couple more answers. It's very important for us to understand who are angels are. Right? Give early seed fund, very early stage. No, build a customer persona. No, think of the person. What does he or she has? So they are not the retail investors of the stock market. They are not correct. Right? Yes, who fund in very early stages? Yes, but how do you know if you meet somebody in a networking event? How do you know that they are angel investors? What trait do they have? Ameya, if you talk about giving support, right? Again, your mentors also give support, right? How do you differentiate an angel investor from others? Okay, I don't see much answers. Let me give it out, right? Raunak, yes and no. Again, you're saying, you're talking about someone who. Thank you, Hiren. Right, Raunak, your answer is someone after they have invested in you. My question was, how do you know that he or she is an angel so that you can pitch to them? Right? So Hiren has an answer there, right? It's generally high net worth individuals, right? Yeah, they're also potentially accredited investors. Some may not be as accredited or registered. So there are, let's list out the customer persona of my angel investors, right? What are my angel investors essentially doing, right? They're at a very high post in their corporate ladder, right? So their ability to take risk is very high, right? They're not dependent on this money that they're investing to run their house, right? They're not worried about that. So they're not worried about losing this money also. That said, they're not throwing away money. The point I'm trying to make is that angel investors are HNIs, senior professionals in the corporate ladder. They would be also successful startup founders, right, who had a few exits or maybe 1 or 2 exits, or even who raised a few rounds and Series B plus rounds. So they have a certain cash flow that they can invest, right? So these are the 3 important things that you need to keep in mind, right? So the moment you meet them, you'll understand, once you understand the profile, you know that should I pitch it to them or not, right? You can't just go and keep pitching it to everyone. That's not the way the investment or the funding game works. You need to choose, you need to vet your investors, right? How do you do that? You need to look at what kind of portfolio he or she has, right? What the biggest challenge today we see in the ecosystem is that there are a lot of investors who say that they're investing. A lot of them do window shopping, right? I have nothing against them, right? But the point is that we as founders have to also do due diligence before we talk to an investor, right? So it's like before you join a college, you must have done a lot of research. Ki kaun sa college acha hai, right? What's the kind of placement opportunities that this college has? What's the kind of faculty they have, right? Similarly, even to identify investors, we should put in a lot of time and energy to vet our investors, right? And that's a very important secret sauce for early stage founders. And that's why there's a very big success factor for founders who've already gone through this churn, right? Because I've done this in my first journey. When I did my first venture e-commerce portal called Panache Silver, I had no clue how to reach out to the investors, right? So I wasted a lot of time reaching out to wrong set of investors, right? So how do we vet? The best way to vet is go into their LinkedIn profile, go into their portfolio, understand what kind of investment thesis he or she has. Every investor has a certain thesis, right? Which means that he or she will invest in their area of strength. Like for example, I invest where I know I have a certain understanding of the business, right? I've recently invested in an edtech venture because I'm passionate about edtech. I also understand the domain of edtech. The other investment I've done is in the retail side because I understand retail pretty much. But if you bring me a healthcare startup to invest, I won't invest because I have no clue how to really evaluate the venture. I will not be able to even add value to the founders. So I'm not going to be the best person if you have a healthcare startup, right? So when you look at investors, go into their LinkedIn profile, do a thorough study, right? Do a thorough study of what is their experience and expertise in, right? What kind of portfolio do they have? You need to find a pattern in that, right? That's the most important thing for you to learn. And how do you do that? You just have to keep going into their founders profiles of the portfolio companies, look at what kind of businesses those ventures are in, and then you'll understand there's a certain pattern of how angel investors really invest, right? And that's a key for you that will ease out your back and forth with the angel investors. So that's one. Second, look out for the angel networks, right? Have you heard of angel networks? Do you know of any angel networks in India? I'm looking for an answer in the chat window, please. What are the angel networks that we know of? What are the angel networks that we are aware of? Any names that you are aware of? NASSCOM, no. NASSCOM is not at all an angel network. NASSCOM is an industry body. Right. So we have Indian Angel Networks, IAN, which is by far the largest network in India. We have Mumbai Angels, which is probably the second largest or third largest in India. In the angel side, we have Let's Venture. Thank you, Amaya. I was looking for that answer. Let's Venture is one. Then we have quite a few others, R Ventures, and we have 9 unicorns who also have their own angel networks. There's Stanford Angels, right? There's plenty of other angel networks, right? ISB has their own thing. I'm an alumni of IIM Bangalore, so we have our own a small angel network that we have. So that's another way to tap into or reach out to a set of angels, right? If I don't know how to find the angels, I can go into these angel networks, and they generally have their investors published. If you go to their website, you'll see that a certain number of angels are already visible there, right? 100x.vc was earlier an angel. He was an angel, Sanjay Mehta, and then he converted that to a micro VC. Right. So angels are HNIs. Remember this. HNIs are senior professionals or other startup founders who have a certain cash flow that they're looking to invest. They are ready to take this bet, right? Angel networks are a network where angels come into play, right? It's like an association of many angels, right? And Let's Venture, R Ventures, Stanford Angels, Indian Angel Network, Mumbai Angels are some of the prominent angel networks in India who are regularly investing, right? So keep an eye out for them. Understand if you see that these these networks are already investing in your sector, and if they've done any recent investment, reach out to them. Again, you need to do some research, right? The other new category of investors that are out there are called micro VCs, right? Micro VCs are generally they do a ticket size of anywhere from 25 lakhs to $500,000. That's the micro VC segment in India. And let me ask you, what is the range that angels invest in startups? What is the financial range? Can I get some answers in the chat window? सागर जी कोई range दे सकते हैं आप? What is the range? You put in a solitary number. Is there can you put in a range? Yeah, here in 30 to 50 lakhs is also right. So normally angels do that kind of a number, anywhere from 10 lakhs to a crore. That is the appetite that he or she might have. But when you look at angel networks generally bring in a pool of angels in the investment, right? So which means that it's not a single person. It will have anywhere from 5 people to about 50 can come into your cap table, right? So angel networks essentially do like a micro VC kind of rounds. They look at a crore to $500,000. That's like 1 crore to 3.5 crores is what angel networks generally invest in. So individual angels can do anywhere from 5 lakhs to a crore, but angel networks generally look at a higher amount because it's a pool of investors that come into play, right? It's anywhere from 5 investors to about 50 at the max can come into an angel network round. Okay. Then I talked about micro VCs. Micro VCs are new into Indian context, but they've been thriving in the global arena. Typically in the valley, you see a ton of micro VCs. So who are micro VCs? Micro VCs are essentially led by a charismatic individual who has a portfolio of his own startups, but instead of building an angel network, what he or she will do is this micro VC would create a syndicate of investors, right? So if you look at Spring Up Capital, right? If you look at like I said, 100x.vc, they do an average of 25 lakhs as a ticket size investment, and so they also have certain penchant for a particular sector or a few sectors. That's where they generally prefer to play their investments. So you need to again do a lot of study research on what kind of investments they have been doing, and then only reach out to them, right? So these are the first few investors with you, right? 3Fs: friends, family, and fools. I have a question from Sagarji. Sir, you have experience on both sides, so can you share with respect to your first one and second what you right? Sagar, I'll just come to that. Let me just sum it up so far what I've spoken to. So 3Fs is what I talked about: friends, family, and fools. So these are the first ones who will probably do like a 1 lakh, 2 lakh kind of a risk on you. Angels and angel networks do anywhere from a small amount of 5-10 lakhs per angel to a standard of a crore for the angel networks. That's their sweet spot, right? Micro VCs go from 1 to 3 crores, between 1 and 3 crores, because they it's led by an individual as a fronting person. He or she would instead of building a complete venture capital company, they play on their ability to syndicate other investors, but they don't want to run an angel network which has other operational hassles. So they come between angel networks and venture capitalists, right? So micro VCs are very popular again in India, and they're getting popular now. So you'll see quite a few syndicates coming up, right? If you go to angel.co, it runs its own syndicate. So that's there you see a couple of micro VCs running their own syndicates. So what are these syndicates? It's again a group of individuals who come in and invest, but it is led by one pole person or a tent person who essentially handles all the investment discussions, negotiations, and he or she will be the sort of a partner or a principal for this minor fund, right? Eagle 10 is another micro VC that I'm aware of, right? It's run by a friend of mine called Prasant Pansare. They've been investing into digital startups, mobile first startups, right? So let me take up Sagar's question. How did I go ahead and raise my first fund? In my first venture, I didn't raise money. I had completely bootstrapped. I had invested my own savings, and I didn't look at raising much money. I did dabble around. I did try to reach out to investors, but then I realized there's a big gap in how I was thinking and how the investors were thinking. So even again, I was not mature enough to understand the ecosystem, and I'm talking about 2013, right? So I spent a few months trying to raise funds, and then I gave it up. I gave up on the whole a challenge of fundraising. But let me tell you about my second venture called Spotplay, where we built a really a tech kind of a product. We brought entertainment solution to the buses. So we had a really small box that would fit into your palm that goes inside the bus, and that would create a localized Wi-Fi, and any smartphone holder within the 50 feet radius can watch movies for free. And we would charge a certain amount to the bus operator. So we had a rental model there, right? So we had a walled garden concept where people could get some entertainment without the need of actual internet. So we created localized Wi-Fi. So yeah, I mean, the best thing about this was that we had some a real good head start in terms of our technology. And me and my co-founder, we had just put in really small amounts. We had probably done about ₹1 lakh kind of an investment to build the first prototypes. And in the first month or so, we were in Pune for a automotive event, and we won. We were one of the winners of the showcase event there, and that opened up a lot of doors for investors to come and talk to us. We had interest coming from many angels who had come to attend that event, and apart from that, we also had a Pune-based micro VC who was willing to invest in us. That apart, my second investor was an interesting one. I had gone to sell this product to a company called MGADI, which is similar to Ola, and these were the early days. I'm talking about 2016, and Ola and Uber. They were competing neck to neck, and we also had Taxi for Sure and a few other taxi players there, right? So MGADI was one such company. I had gone to pitch it to them to say that why don't you take a product and we could provide entertainment to your customers. And interestingly, when looking at the way that we were pitching and we were convincing the founders of the company, one of their advisors was interested to invest in us. Although we didn't get the client, but we got our we got an angel investor to come into our cap table, right? In a span of 2 weeks, he invested. He cut his first check of 10 lakhs for us, right? So like I said, the most important thing that we all carry, right, is our sales pitch, our sales ability, right? Our selling skills, which is all about building a story, right? So you don't know where the investors are waiting for you. Keep your best foot front all the time when you're talking to anyone. Practice a lot how you want to pitch about your startup, and that in my case, as well as I've seen many of my peers, it's our ability to talk with clarity, have great sense of business. When I say great sense of business, it's not about having 20 years of business experience. It's about understanding what really ticks in the market, what works for your clients, what works for your your customers, right? So that understanding is important, and also to understand where are the financials, right? How much money do you need? That you need to have a clear-cut idea. Right? For example, if I were to ask anybody, what's the kind of money that you want to raise? When I talk to startups, I get ranges, right? Yeah, I'll come to that. I mean, I have a slide on that, what to cover in your pitch deck. So typically, when we talk to early stage founders or even idea stage founders, when you ask them what is the kind of money that you want, they give you a range. Right? I'm okay with 10 lakhs. I'm okay with 20 lakhs. I'm okay with 50 lakhs also. Right? That's a very big signal for the investor who's on the other side that he or she is not yet mature, or he or she is not very clear on how much money they need. Right? So as a founder, we are always desperate to raise funds. So we end up saying that, okay, 50 lakh nahi diya, 10 lakh bhi chalega. Right? But that's a very bad way to pitch your startup. Never do that. Right? So the most important thing is to have a clear number in place, right? And the litmus test I do, and every investor does, is they ask you for where will you apply this fund, right? Why do you need this much money? Let's say you tell me 1 crore, I'm going to ask where I'm going to put this money, right? And if I hear random numbers saying that you know what, I'm going to hire. It will go into hiring, it will go into marketing, it will go into product building, right? That's not an answer, right? That's a concept or a thought that you have. We need clarity, because if somebody is looking for a certain amount to be invested, he or she is looking for where is this money going to be invested and how the utilization happens. So the answer should be very clear. I need let's say 20 lakhs to build this prototype, and this is for my marketing budget. I need 35 lakhs for the GTM, go to market, and I need certain amount for building something else, right? So you need to have that clarity. 20, 30, 40% has to go into these things. And the next question I'm going to ask as an investor is going to be, why do you need 20 lakhs to build a product, right? It's too much money to be spent on that, right? And if you want to tell me 40 lakhs on marketing, again, at the investor's counter will be, why do you want 40 lakhs? Now, this is where some of the startup founders will get disheartened. And I'm not able to convince them, or the investor doesn't understand, my need. It's not that. There's a certain learning curve, right, for both parties. So you need to take that additional step as a founder to give complete clarity, right? You need to give complete clarity on where this money will go and why you need to justify, right? And how does it come in? It will come into your pitch deck, right? Once you have your pitch deck, you have to do a lot of deep research and understanding why you need the certain amounts for certain parts of your business, whether it is operations, marketing, production, right? Or even hiring and building tech. You need to know your numbers, right? If you're going to tell me that, you know what, I need money for cloud, the investor will know that you're not done your homework, because today you get enough and more credits, right? Coming from AWS, Google Cloud, right? Azure. For startups, there is no dearth of credits, right? So if you're going to tell me that I need certain amount for cloud hosting, my first question will be, how much credits have you collected, right? You should go to AWS and collect your credits, right? They have certain programs called Activate. Your incubators and accelerators, I've mentioned the screen as well. They are your gateway to get these credits. So there's plenty of opportunities to get credits. Keep collecting those credits, because even if you don't have money, if you're a digital front company, a digital first company, you can build your prototype, you can build your MVP without the need of money, right? Using these startup credits, right? So that's very essential for an investor to he's going to evaluate you on how much homework you've done on all these aspects. So I'm going to look at how much homework you've done to understand my interest areas, how much homework you've done to understand your business in depth, right? Do you know your numbers? Do you understand or are you able to justify why you need certain amount to build a product? And what other effort have you put in, right? Have you gone and pitched it to certain clients? Have you heard from the customer? What is the feedback that you got? It's not about your idea. It's about, does the customer need the product, right? Do you have a non-paying customer? We're not looking for paying customers. We always want to get a feeling of what does the customer tell about this product, right? I mean, have they used your product? Have they given you feedback? So I'm not talking about paying customers. I'm talking about non-paying customers. Can you even convince a customer to use a product free? If you're doing that, then let's look at the analytics, right? How much time he or she is spending? What are their feedbacks? What are their delights? What are their grouses? What are their grievances, right? So all these have to be at the back of your hand, right? It should be your second nature to quickly tell whenever there's a question for, you should be able to tell this, get clear answers for these, right? And this is what every angel investor is looking at, right? Or every early stage investor is looking at, or a micro VC is looking at, right? So looking at next set of investors that we're talking about are venture capitalists. So now the most important question I'm going to ask you is that, when do you reach out to venture capitalists? When do you reach out to a VC? At what stage of your venture do you talk to a venture capital? Do you go to them at idea stage? Do you go to them at early stage? Let's say you're looking to raise 1 crore. Do you go to them at that money? Like, at what kind of revenue, Raksha? Some kind of revenue is again a very broad term. Is 1 lakh a good revenue? The moment you have a lakh rupees of revenue, would you go to a VC? Okay, let me answer this. Have a good customer base and have a year-on-year increase, right? Yeah. Okay, so a couple of ground rules when you before you go to venture capital is you need to understand why and how they invest, right? A typical VC, do you know how many employees are there in a venture capital firm? An average number of employees in a venture capital firm. Chaitali, 75% is a bit too late. No, Hiren. VC firms are really, really lean. You can look at anywhere from 5 people to maximum of 20. Yeah, you'll never have a 250 member VC firm. Right. So typical VC firms at every location, right, every market or every country they are in, they'll have a very lean team. Okay, so why is it important to know this fact? Is because they do not have time to do small ticket investments, right? How does a VC firm earn revenue for them? What is their revenue? I'm going to just take a minute to bring your attention to that, because you should know when to approach VC. VC firms make money, right, when they have exits, right? And let's talk about $100 million venture capital firm, right? Yeah, carry interest and right, carry and management fee, right? So perfect, Raksha. Now imagine a small team of 5 to 10 people, and they have $100 million to invest, right? And what's their life cycle or timeline that they invest in? A typical VC's timeline to invest and get the exit. Generally, it's a 10-year horizon. Yeah, 7 to 10 years, right? Okay. So where does VC get money? They get it from the limited partners, right? They reach out to a lot of LPs and family offices, HNIs and UHNIs, and they get them to invest, commit certain money. Right now, let's look at $100 million VC, and he has to generate how much for $100 million? How much return are they expecting? These UHNI LPs, limited partners, how much are they expecting? Are they expecting an interest rate on this? No, they want multi-baggers. That's the reason why they are ready to take risk. So they are looking at multi-baggers, not in the retail investment term, but in an exponentially large investment term. Right? For $100 million fund, you need to be able to generate at least, at least a 3 to 4x kind of return on the minimum side. Right? If you are not able to generate that return, that VC is dead. Right? He or she is banished in the market again. Right? He or she cannot raise another VC fund. So for a VC or a venture capital partner or a principal, he's handling two sides. One, he has to satisfy his limited partners who are his investors, and then he has a very small team, because he doesn't have the luxury of spending money on building a large team, right? So he invests money into his team, brings in high caliber people. So what do? These 5-10 people have to find the most potential success stories. Yeah, they do get salaries, but they also get a part of the profit, right? Fund managers do get part of the profit. That's called as carry. Carry is the term, right? So if a $100 million fund is there, they won't invest, on 1,000 startups, right? Often I've seen founders asking this question, itna paisa hai, I mean, they keep investing. I'm only asking for a small amount, 50 lakhs, a crore, and they take such big amounts of risk on Swiggy and others. Why don't they take that risk on me, right? But that's a silly question to ask, because think of it, right? If you are in his shoes, he doesn't want to be able managing 1,000 founders. He wants 25 founders, right? Or maximum 30 to 40 founders that he can manage, right? The 30 to 40 startups. So his appetite or ticket size for a $100 million fund will be about $3 to $5 million ticket size. Unless until you are at $3 to $5 million ask, never go to a VC of $100 million size. So you need to look at the size of the VC and see, divided by 25 or 30, and then see, is that number you are asked. I will again repeat. Let's say if we are looking at a $10 million VC, right? If a VC's total fund is 10 million, divided by 25, divided by 30, divided by 50, right? Then you'll know that he or she is looking at a 200K to 300K check size. So अगर मैं उतना पैसा उठा रहा हूँ मार्केट से, तभी मैं जाऊंगा VC के पास, right? You do not go to a VC if your ask is not matching that VC's ticket or check cutting capability or check cutting ability, right? It's not that he doesn't have money to invest smaller amount. He doesn't want to invest. He has money, but he doesn't want to get into that headache of managing too many founders. He wants to bet on the winning horses, right? Because he knows that 9 out of 10 will fail, but he's looking for that one one jockey who's going to, one unicorn possibility that is going to come from his, portfolio of investments. So thumb rule, never go to a VC if your fundraise amount is not matching their, ticket size. And every VC has clear, they would have clearly mentioned in any of the interviews, or you can look at the, you can go and look at a lot of news articles of the recent investments. And the last important thing is to know, has the VC raised money recently? Because VC also has to raise money, right? Unke paas fund kahan se aata hai? They have to raise money from the UHNI. So go and look out if they have raised a fund, then their appetite is high to invest money, because they're scouting for investment opportunities, right? So that's one of the 3 points to keep in mind, right? VC fund ka size, is that unka ticket cutting ka size, is it matching to your ask? And have they raised funds recently? What sector are they investing into? Is your sector one of their favorite sectors? If yes, then go and pitch it to them. Otherwise, don't even waste your time sending out the deck, because it's just going to be in the trash bin of the recipient, right? Okay, so that's about venture capital. Do not go to them if you're not at that stage. Okay. Then there are equity free grants from governments. Like in my experience, I've raised money from Government of India. We got almost 2 fast track mode now. You have various opportunities looking at state governments. You have opportunities coming from the DST. DST invests through the incubators and other accelerators, and there are also other opportunities, or there are these competitions that they run, which also gives away investment to the tune of 5 to 50 lakhs. Right? Look at that if you're early stage equity free grants. I also raised money from government of Chile. Then there's a plethora of other governments who are offering these equity-free investments. Right? It could be sectoral. It could be market specific. It could be technology specific. Right? For example, Peru or Puerto Rico has certain market specific investment. They want you to come and build your venture in their in their country. But if you look at Switzerland or French, that's something called as tech visa in French, which essentially gives you about a 50 lakh investment, and you have an option to shift to Paris to fund. They look at investing in healthcare, and I'm talking about pre-COVID days also, right? So you should look at these also to get some investments, and also keep an eye out for all the other accelerators. Like I told about YC, I'll come to some more in the next slide. Any questions before I move in to the next slide? We are already at 7, already touching 8. How much time do we have, ma'am? How much more time can we take this session?
So since you are having questions by going parallelly, so we can have 30 minutes more.
All right. Yeah. Thank you. So any questions right now that any of you have about these investors or the investor profiles? Do we understand clearly when to reach out to whom and how to do their research about them? I'll be happy to take any questions that are out there. Okay, no questions? Cool. Okay, now I think someone asked me, what should go into the pitch deck, right? So the first and foremost thing, like I told you, right, the foundation of any startup is the founder, right, and the team, right, the founder and the founders, right, the co-founders, the CEO, CTO, right. Yeah, I'm coming to that, Amaya. So your pitch deck should have these components. What I'm showing it here, right? So these are the basic components that we need to have. But what's the most important thing out of this is essentially the founders. Now the challenge comes in when you are a college student or a student startup. How do you build your profile? Because you don't have much to showcase. And then we also have, unfortunately, in India as well as in the Valley, there's a certain proximity that you get because you're from a certain college, right? Like if I'm an alumni of IIM, so there's a certain advantage that I get over others because I can get to talk to all my alumni network, and these alumni invest in within their circles, right? Unfortunately, this is the true fact, but that should not stop you from raising funds or building venture because because we're passionate about building, right? It doesn't matter कि मैं कौन से college में पढ़ा हूँ या whether I'm from the tech or non-tech background. Just to share my own self, I'm essentially from a commerce background person. I went on to do my studies on finance and then took up my MBA, right? So I'm not a techie, but I've built tech ventures, right? But I've spent a lot of time learning technology for myself. And when I built my venture Spotplay, I had no clue on hardware, right? But I went on to build a hardware tech firm. So how do you build your profile there, right? How do you ensure that you are giving the right signals to the investors? So first and foremost, networking, right? You have to go out there and network, right? Why do I want to network, right? I want to bring in certain mentors and advisors to my venture. Because if I don't have a certain background, can I showcase to the investor that I have the ability to bring in advisory board or a mentor board that is going to back me up to the hilt? And these mentors that I'm talking about are, are the superstars in their, in their profession or in their, in their market. So you need to go out and do that. But to do that, you need to go out and network, right? You need to attend a lot of events that are out there. You need to volunteer to help others because networking is a two-way street. It's not a one-way street. कि मैं जाके help पूछूंगा लोग help कर देंगे. It doesn't work like that. It's always the other way, right? मैं जाके help करूंगा so that I build some credits for myself, right? Then I can ask for a favor, right? That's how it works. It's not a one-way street. Remember this, right? So the most important thing is to build the founder's track record, right? And go out. There are at least today in India, you have huge number of business companies that are out there, right? Go out, present your idea, get to win some awards, right? It's not really hard if you're passionate about that, because these awards are going to talk about certain certain aspects about you as a founder who can pitch, who you're able to showcase your idea to a larger audience, get some feedback, work on that. And if the audience is loving it in an award ceremony or in a business competition, or a jury is loving it, it speaks volumes about your capability and your market conditioning, right? So awards are one way to build your track record. If you're too young without any experience, then take this route, right? Attend like crazy number of B-plan competitions, right? You also get money, if you're winning the awards, and that recognition will also bring in a lot of visibility for you, right? If I'm talking to some 20, 21-year-old students, if he or she is able to showcase their hacks on generating some early revenues, their hacks on generating some funds through winning these awards, that's going to give me a tremendous amount of confidence as an investor, right? Because I know that these are the right horses to back, right? So that's very important to do. Second thing is that you can also do internships, right? Let's say you want to build something on the AI, right? Or if you want to build something on the crypto or blockchain. So what's the best way to do? Go and join a startup in the crypto space, right? Or go and work for a blockchain tech company, right? Early stage. it doesn't matter how much money you're earning. Give it like 6 months or 3 months or a year into that role, you would have learned a lot of intricacies, nuances of the business. You would have learned domain details, and that's an important track record that you're building, right? You don't need 10 years of 20 years of or 30 years of expertise, right? All that investors are looking at, whether it is an angel investor, angel network, or a micro VC, they're essentially looking at, does this person have the capability to build that kind of expertise? I'm not looking at a PhD holder. All I'm looking at is, does this person know how to go and gain this knowledge, right? If he or she is able to show that to me, that's a very big plus, right? I'm going to love this person if he or she is showing that to me. Right. The second important thing is to look at your market validation. And how do you do that? By getting non-paying customers. Whatever your venture, right? And I think Sagarji mentioned about somebody building, I think it was Vamsi, right? Vamsi Nemakati, who's building something. Building something similar to Uber or Ola, right? Whatever the service, how do you get your first, if you're in a B2B space, how do you get your first 10 non-paying customers? And by the way, it's not easy to get a non-paying customer, because if you may not have a full feature product, but how do you convince a customer to use that and give you a feedback? If possible, give you a testimonial. Then that's talking about market validation at the early stages, right? Your ability to get selected to certain accelerators and incubators, right? That's a very big plus, which says that somebody there has evaluated your idea, your profile, and they've taken a small bet. Even if it is a 5 lakh, 10 lakh investment from an accelerator, it talks about a certain entity who has taken a bet on you. Right, so that is a very important parameter to build for your idea, right? So an accelerator is actually vetting the team as well as the idea, right? Your customer is vetting you as well as your idea or your product, right? So it's a very important aspect of building your track record, right? Other important thing that you need to keep in mind when you're building a pitch deck is to look at other examples in other markets, right? So for example, now Ola and Uber are already done and dusted, right? So you already have enough enough to showcase about that. Let's say you are at an early stage venture. Let's say we'll talk about D2C business. Let's say you're building a Thoracious clone in India. By the way, how many of you are aware of Thoracio? That's the name of the company. If you're following startup news, you must have heard of Thoracio. Thoracio is a unicorn company out of Valley. So what does Thoracio do? Thoracio is essentially, I don't know if I'm, okay, Thoracio. Sorry, that's the name of the company, Thoracio. Thoracio is a unicorn. What they do is they aggregate B2C, D2C startups or B2C, D2C brands. So they go into Amazon and other e-commerce platforms. They scout for high density selling products, and they acquire them. Now the earlier way of doing this was how, right? How do FMCG brands work? Can you name an FMCG brand that you are aware of? Any FMCG brand that you are aware of? Yes or no? So is there a product called HUL? Yeah, is there a product called PNG, Sagarji? So these are the companies, right? And they have tons and tons of products that they sell. Most users or consumers may not even be able to relate to them, relate the product to the company, right? If you look at Ariel, you don't know who's, right? Maggie is a product, and Nestle is a company, right? So Maggie is a very good example, right? All of us eat, but Nestle ka aur bhi power products, and Nestle is a company which has created multiple brands. So the earlier way of working is that every large company would have multiple brands, and they keep incubating or creating new brands, new products under their umbrella. But Toresha has completely turned it upside down. So they are going to e-commerce portals and acquiring brands, and then they are becoming the HUL and PNG, right? And similarly in India now we have 10 Club and a few other companies that have raised eye-popping seed rounds of 2 million, 5 million, 40 million dollars. So this is where I said Toresha has been a very prominent example. If you know that this is a very a popular model in another market, so if you're a 10 Club company, then what you'll do is you'll go to the investors and tell that, you know what, Toresha has proven this concept in US, and we don't have many people in India, and I can create this in India, right? So you need to know your competitor landscape in India as well as globally. So that's your competitor landscape. Very important to know how wide and deep is your competitor. And that's a very big red flag. If somebody is going to tell me that I have a unique idea, the moment a founder tells he or she has a unique idea, it's a very big red flag, right? None of the ideas are unique in today's world. Unfortunately, we all keep improving the idea from, or improving the product, right? Again, not in a negative or derogatory sense. The uniqueness of idea comes from only the improvement aspect of it, right? We're not building anything, let's look at Tesla, right? Tesla, is it a unique product? No. Is Tesla a unique product? Yeah, any answers? Tesla is not unique, right? And how old are electric vehicles in the world? How old are EVs, electric vehicles? The bidding is open. You can put in the number of years. Since how long electric vehicles have existed in the world? I'm looking for some answers here. Right? So did you know that even before the IC, internal combustion engines came through, the first vehicles were all electric vehicles. So EVs are older than the IC engines, right? Even before the IC became the norm, there were EVs. So what Tesla has done is they've innovated and they've made it as a usable product with a longer life. Essentially, they have improved on the battery capabilities than on anything else, right? That's what Ather is doing in India for their two-wheelers, and now Ola is also jumping into the sector. Right, so it's very important to know width and breadth of your depth of your competitor landscape. Right, you cannot go to an investor saying that I have a very unique idea or I don't have any competitors in India. It just goes to show that he or she has not done enough research, because in today's world you have information at your fingertip. You need to just Google out, you need to just go into various social media platforms. You'll see that some companies building a product similar to yours. So you need to know at what stage of the product building are they, and how large is the team there, how much time have they spent into this, and how they are different from you or how you are different from them. That's where the USP comes into the play, right? So knowing your competitors is the base for an investor to judge whether you have a clear understanding of your market or not, right? The fourth important point is your potential market size, right? Your what's the market size here, right? So let's say I'm selling I'm selling, let's say, an educational product, right, for college students. So what's my market size? Are all college going students of India my market? Is that my market size? How do we derive or how do we identify our market size? Any thoughts on that? How does one come to know about the market size? The biggest mistake that I see founders do is they say, if I'm building a college product, an education product for college students, then if you want to tell me that all college going students in India are my customers, then you're dead on arrival, right? As a founder, you have diminished your value tremendously, right? The investor is not going to even be interested in looking at you. So you need to have a lot of research done, deeper research, to understand which segment of the market is going to buy this product from you. Right. Now you need to build your TGs, right? How do you build your TGs? By doing your customer persona. I'm sure you must have learned, studied design thinking as part of your curriculum. So we do a lot of customer personas there, right? So you need to use that customer persona to build your potential market, right? So let's say if I'm selling, if I'm Byju's, I'm selling it for the 4 to 6 kind of class age group. Not all 4 to 6 are going to use my product, right? Why won't they use it in India? Not all 4 to 6. Not all kids in the 4 to 6 class will be Byju's customers. Reason being, the biggest challenge in India is the language, right? It becomes the language barrier, right? Which means that I'm already wiping out a lot of my tier 2, tier 3 of the market, right? Let's say if India's 4 to 6 age group students are amounting to about 1.5 crores, out of that 1.5 crores available market, I'll never be able to tap that 1.5 crores. I'll only be able to tap the English speaking market because my product is probably in English, right? Until and unless I have all languages covered, I'll never be able to reach. Then your product pricing. Exactly, Akshata, right? So next we're going to look at how many of these student group will be able to afford my product, because I'm going to sell it at a certain price, right? Second is, like you said, there are certain dependencies on infrastructure, right? Which means that if I'm talking about everybody who has to have internet, who has to have a smartphone, who has to have be part of the ICSE CBSE syllabus, is what I'm going to target. And then you shrunk your market. You know that your market is not 1.5 crore. It's probably only about 10 lakhs, which is okay to have, right? 10 lakhs is still a large market. Okay, but that is going to tell the investor that you've done your research. Now, exactly, Siddharaj, right? TAM Samsung. What's TAM Samsung? Can anyone expand on that? So by doing this exercise, what I gave you as an example, we're coming to the total addressable market. That's your TAM. And in that, you want to identify your serviceable available market and serviceable obtainable market, right? So which means it's a minuscule percentage is what we're going to target, right? So if you're going to tell me that, and if you're going to tell the investors that you're looking at 1.5 crore users, then it diminishes your value because we lose confidence on the founder. It's very important to do this kind of number crunching and then come back with justified numbers, right? let's take vaccination as an example, right? Very easy to relate to, right? What's the population of India that is getting vaccinated today? I'm asking about what's the population of India. So let me ask the first question. What is the population of India? Total population of India. Can someone answer? What's the total population of India? Right, 120 crores, 130 crores, right? Okay, fair numbers, right? 130 crores is what I think we are right now, and we're probably touching 140 soon. Of which are we going to have all 130 crores, 140 crores vaccinated? Is that the plan of the government? So how many of these 140 crores, let's keep 140 as a number, it's easy to take a round number. Of this 140 crores, how many are we looking to vaccinate? Right? Why is it that we are looking at a smaller number? Why are we looking at this 70, 80, 100 crores kind of numbers to vaccinate? What happens to the others? Who are these others? Perfect, Chaitali, right? Okay. And now we are talking about 16 plus vaccination, 13 plus vaccination, right? Yeah. So there's a so now let's take this example. Your total your total market that is out there is about 140 crores, right? In that, your TAM is going to be about, let's say, 80 crores. That's your total addressable market, right? In that, okay, what's your serviceable available market, right? Let's say if I'm going to have a certain kind of a vaccination, let's say I need to have cold storage and blah blah blah. Depending on that, I would say that I'll probably only do this 10,000 villages first, right? So that's my SAM. In that, I'm going to only do a smaller percentage initially, which is obtainable market, right? So TAM, SAM, SOM, right? So of the 140 crores, right, I'm essentially targeting to probably give immunity only to about 20 crores in the first 6 months. But would the government tell you that? No, right? I mean, because they need to project larger numbers. They will say that we'll vaccinate everyone. But if you know your math, you're going to tell that if I'm going to reach that 20 crore vaccination, that's a very good number to reach in the first 6 months, right? Similarly, you need to know your numbers. Your total market is a very large number that has no meaning to be discussed. Potential market is the TAM. What's your total addressable market? And then come to the SAM and the SOM. And if you've done your math fairly well, you'll have a certain conviction when you talk about these numbers, right? And that's what's going to impress the investors. So it's very important slide in your slide deck, right? And like we talk about the team, advisors and board members or your mentors play a very vital role to add value to you, right? So add value to your startup. So you need to talk about them as well, right? Let's say if you're able to bring in Binny Bansal as one of your advisors, right? Any investor, any angel in India would love you, right? They'll just open the checkbook, right? The ability that you are able to bring in Binny to advise you is going to talk about your potential success, because Binny has been there, done that, and if he's going to come in as advisor, he must have already invested in you, right? More than the money, if he or she is investing time on you, it speaks great volumes about it. So one of the ways to bolster your chances or improve your chances is to bring in very powerful advisors. And how would you do that? You would have passionately sold your story to them, and they would have bought some interest in you, right? So they bought into your story, right? And then the next important thing is to look at the IP building, right? This is one challenge in India, that IPs are generally not as secure as in the Western world. But nevertheless, if you are building a certain IP, that's a very important parameter to look at, right? In my case, I have a patent in US right now, which we built while we were building the company Spotplay, right? We had taken that a completely novel idea, and we built a new technology around that, and we applied for a patent in US. And it costs a lot of money. We spent about 10 lakhs just securing our IP, right? But it's worth, because that money is well spent, because you not only have something valuable now, right, as a patent or as an important IP piece. Additionally, investors feel more secure, and they also know that there's a certain trajectory that you're building the company towards, right? In some use cases, you may not have that kind of an agility or ability to build an IP, but it's okay, right? Whatever you're building, if you're able to show them some defensive moat, right? Saying that why you have a certain unfair advantage, and if you're able to show that, which means that it could be as simple as your your knowledge of the market, your knowledge of the ecosystem, or your existing sales capability, and you've shown that by bringing in customers. That also is a valuable thing. Not every business will have an IP. Like, for example, if you look at a food delivery app, right? It's very difficult to build a very high-end IP in that, because there's already a lot more technology that's out there, and very few chances to build any unique IP out there, right? But if it's not there, then you need to build your potential by showing the market capturing capability that you've had, right? The market share that you're able to get. And as an early stage startup, you may not have a large market share, but if you're able to show that in your month-on-month growth, right? Let's say in your typical month-on-month growth is about 150 to 200%, then I know for a fact that your customers are liking something in your product. That's why they're coming and buying it, right? And even if they're not paying customers, if your non-paying customer growth is towards the north of 200%, then it speaks volumes about your ability to go and sell. Right? So this is what the investors are looking at: team, market validation or traction, competitor landscape, your potential market size, TAM, SAM, SOM. Very detailed and very clearly justified numbers have to be there. Your ability to bring in a certain advisory panel or a board members, and if you have IP. Right? Is VC the right investor for you? We already spoke about this. Never go to a VC if you're asked, or if your fund that you're looking to raise is not in the vicinity of what the VC funds normal check cutting number. Right? If it's not going to match, then don't waste your time reaching out to that VC, because that VC is not going to be interested in you. Right? Would you want to look at cap table, or maybe I can share that some reading material for you all? Maybe cap table is a bit too early. It will be early for you all. More than cap table, probably what I want to talk about is how else you can raise funds. Go to lootstrap.com, go to yourfirstinvestor.com. There's a bunch of grants that are mentioned out there. If you go to DST's website, if you go to startupindia.com, you'll find a lot of Indian grants that are out there, both competitions as well as sector-specific grants that are out there. As simplest form as Nidhi Prayas, which gives you a stipend, to Karnataka government's Elevate, which gives you a 50 lakh check, to CCamp, which does a biotech grant program, to ISRO's grants for the space tech startup. So everything is mentioned in Indian Startup India website. And when you go to the global grants, there are, like I already told you, there are sectoral specific grants that are out there. Even the pan or multi-country, multinational entities like IMF, World Bank, UN also have certain funds earmarked, right? So see if you are eligible for them. Do apply for that, because it brings in two important things for you. If you get selected, it's money. More than that, you get a certain reputation, right? That reputation is going to carry a long-term weightage for you, right? Look at global accelerators like Find Startups, Techstars, EF, Entrepreneur First. Now even EF is in India, Antler is in India, right? Flat Labs, MIC in LA. There are hundreds of these, global accelerators who are welcoming every startup founder from across the world with a certain criteria that they have. There's a certain there's a certain background that they verify. There's a certain a process to that. You need to put your product out there. You need to ensure that you have a certain video pitching done. So all of these are clearly defined in their websites. But these global accelerators also invest anywhere from $120K, $150K to $500,000. So YC has been the front runner for this, right? So they've created the whole ecosystem now among the global accelerators. So they've generally cut $120,000 as their first check. Right? They also do follow-up rounds, but first check is always $120K, and they take a standard 7% equity. Right? While 500 startups and Techstars are much more flexible, they do anywhere from 100 to 150K depending on the location that you are applying for. And Antler and EF have $80K to $100K, but they also have a preliminary 3-month foundation program that you need to go through. And only if you're selected for the next level of program is when they invest money in you. Similar thing with Flat Labs, you have Make in LA, which is a hardware thing. And then you have SOSX in China that's also taking a lot of startups across the world. You have Anchor Taiwan. So all of these are available at, it's just that you need to do your research. Go to Your First Investor or Lootstrap, these two websites, and you'll find all of these listed there. Right. And just to give you a glimpse, this is 2020 data of global startup accelerators, and this is where Y Combinator has already invested in about 1,800. This number is slightly old, like I told you, 2020. Take it with a pinch of salt. These numbers have increased tremendously in the last 1 year. Right. These are the popular startup accelerators, and look at the kind of funding that they've done. Right. An average of 100 to 120K is what they all invest, right? They also specialize sectorally. They also look at a certain market specificity, and if you're fitting into their zone, you should go and apply for these, right? And all of them have 1 or 2 different programs that they run every year. So they have different batches. Some of them have a rolling window application. Some of them have an annual a winter and summer kind of application process. So please do some research and apply there. Again, these what do they bring to the table? Money. And what else do they bring apart from money? All these global accelerators. More than money, they bring something else. Yeah, if there's one term, that's what Hiren has mentioned, network. A very, very powerful network. Think of if you are joining Y Combinator with about 2,000 odd founders in that, right? You already have that ability to reach out to those 2,000 founders who can be your clients, who can be your investors, who can be your partners, who can be your your mentors, right? So that network is very, very, very powerful, right? So give it a shot. Prepare yourself for that, and there's enough and more reading material and YouTube videos to know how to pitch for them. Right. That's broadly what I wanted to share today. We've talked about, just to sum it up, we've talked about angels, angel networks, when to go to them, and how to do your research about them. We talked about VC, when and why not to go to VC. Very important to know who you are pitching to. We talked about what goes into your pitch deck. Do a lot of market research, get non-paying customers, right? It's not that hard. So, but you need to put in a lot of effort and have clear numbers in place, right? It has to be handy for when you talk to the investors. And look at global accelerators. They're very important part of the system. They can change fortunes for you. Right? I hope I've given some value to you all. Thank you so much, Sagarji and Velinka team. It's been a pleasure for me to talk to all of you. Any questions, I'll be happy to take on. Yeah. Any questions? Are there any questions in the QA?
Hello. Sir, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Sorry, there is some network issue at my end in the last moment. So thank you very much. Just one last final question to you. If a equity, means the stockbroker startup, if they are a startup which is sub broker, stock sub broker, then how they should raise the fund, and what will be the equity we have to pay in?
I think we lost you there.
I think Sagar got some technical issue.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
I thought you must have understood his question and you can just carry.
Yeah. See, broadly, I mean, this needs a lot more deeper analysis on how what is the actual product that you are talking about. But I'll take certain assumptions here. If my understanding is right, you're looking to build something like an upstock or a Zerodha kind of a product. And if that is the case, who do you approach to get investment, and what is the path to building that, right? So first and foremost, thing is to build your product out, get some feedback, get some traction in the market. It doesn't matter how much revenue you're generating, but what's more important is that do you have certain interest in the user segment, right? Are the consumers who are interested in you? It's a very large market opportunity, because in India, if you look at typically we are less than 3% of market penetration. So it means that there's huge upside that is available, but it's also very very expensive game to play. It's also a very challenging game to play, because you need to have enough approvals from the regulator, because it's a highly regulated platform, right? What you're trying to build, right? You come under SEBI, you come under RBI's purview. So you also need to have approvals from NSE, BSE to trade in the stocks, right? Because as a broker, you need to have your broker licenses. I'm assuming you have all of these in place. In that case, your investors would potentially be, family offices that are out there who have been investing in various of the corporate investment sector. You will also reach out to micro VC funds if you're looking at that 1 crore to 3 crore kind of an ask. If you're already generating revenues, let's say if you're already at a 100K kind of revenue, right? Top line. It doesn't matter how much bottom line you have, but if your top line is already, let's say, at $100K, which is about close to a crore, and again, that's not a very big number in this kind of a product segment. Getting 70 to 80 lakhs turnover is not very big as a revenue, because it's, when you talk about trading, the volume is what drives this, right? Now here is where the challenge comes in, is your NPS, Net Promoter Score, right? So you'll be reaching out to the VCs. If you already have that kind of a number, you should be able to reach out to all of these global accelerators, all of these VCs that I talked about, depending on the check size that you're looking to get, right? And at about 70-80 lakhs kind of revenue, you should be looking to raise anywhere from 5 to 7 million. Again, it is very heavy on assumptions. It depends on each and every product and the team and the stage of the product that you are in, that we need to take cognizance. But I'm just taking a very high level view of this right now.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the enlightenment knowledge that you shared with us. And I guess many of the students are very much enthused how to go ahead, because they will have a lot of questions with respect to angel investors, VC funding, what should be the pitch deck and all. And you shared the complete things with us. And I hope there will become couple of startups will be incubated from our V school after the session also. So we also have Dr. Vaishali ma'am. She due to some
Namaste, Santoshi.
Vaishali ma'am is a Senior Associate Dean for Research, and she's taking care of innovation also. So Vaishali ma'am, thank you for joining.
Santosh ji, I'm very sorry. I did some setting change in the camera and I was not able to switch it
No
on.
problem.
But thank you for nice technical session. This field, there are very limited people who know all these breaks in the that topic. And thank you very much for guiding us, guiding our students, because this is what is the area we are, but even the students are very keen to know all these things, and we wish you on our board as a moderator, as a mentor for the students of the startups. And thank you so much for spending almost 1.5 hour with us, and we are very much grateful to you for this informative and very technical session. Thank you, Sagar.
Thank you, ma'am. Shruti ma'am, can you switch on your video so that we can take screenshot? Amay, can you take the screenshot? Okay. Thank you, Amay.
Thank you so much, Santosh sir, for demystifying VC funding and angel investing for us. Even a novice like me could understand and make some sense of these abstruse concepts and topics. Thank you so much again.
It's my pleasure, ma'am. It was good that I was having this kind of chats, because I love to have this interactive session.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot more questions that students will have. I'm sure time permitted, somewhere in future we can
yeah, we can surely have one more session with you and with our startup students especially. Yeah.
And
thank you.
Definitely, Mr. Santosh, we have an incubation cell, we have an innovation cell, we have a RedX incubation center where we have many technical projects and a good intellectual capital we hire for this our RedX project. Even our PG and MMS students, they are doing many projects in that labs. So definitely, maybe in the coming academic year, normally we work in the academic years. This is what is the last pitch for this academic year 2021, and maybe from August 1st, we would be starting the academic year the next academic year. So definitely we need you physically in the campus so that we can interact more, and you will also see our setup and guide us in the future.
Sure, and you're all doing a wonderful job of encouraging job creators. Right? I must congratulate you on that, because today India needs more job creators than job seekers, and I think this is a wonderful initiative that you're putting into place.
Yes.
Kudos to you all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, team. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you, IIC Council,
Bye.
IIC team. Thank you, Sagar, Amay, Dr. Garima, Shruti for taking the initiative. Thanks.
Thank you all.
Thank
you.
Bye. Good night.
Bye.
Take care. Good night.
Thanks, audience, for joining us.
Take care. Be safe.